Welcome back, witches. This is Natalie, your Friday hostess for Witches of the Moon. And this week is our final week of this season. This week we are discussing how to hide your practice in plain sight. Now, at first hand, this might seem kind of awkward to a lot of, but like we did, I think, a video a few seasons back on how to kind of work up your workspace, how to witch up your workspace without wigging out the people that work with you, especially if you have uber diehard Christians that are burn them all at the stake. But sometimes you live with people who are not so supportive of your views or your craft. But you want to have things around you that keep your spiritual chi flowing, if that makes any sense at all. Again, sometimes I think I only make sense to myself. And at first sight, this might seem kind of difficult to do, but it's not as hard as you might seem. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how I incorporate my beliefs into my everyday without being anything that's in your face, so to speak. Obviously, here in the office, I have my little Morgan space over there that I set up. However, this room, as you can see, is cut off because we were using this as an office space, and so we had to completely separate it. So actually behind this bookshelf right here, the one that's right over here, this is actually a wall, and behind this wall is a door. Well, there's a wall and a door. The door led into the kitchen. My husband and my children made this bookcase that goes from the floor to the ceiling to cover the wall, basically. So the door is covered. We took the doorknob off. We put on like a deadbolt, so it deadbolts on the other side of the kitchen. And if you were to open that door for any reason in the kitchen, all you would see is the back of this bookcase. So, you know, I have a little bit of space here that it's not really my witchy space, but this is where I record my videos. It's on my desk, which I use for work. I have all of my little witchy accoutrements out. But say you're in a position where you can't have those things out, so to speak. Well, all is not lost. You can still have things of religious significance to you or of spiritual significance to you, witchy significance to you in your personal space without it being so blatant. For example, if you are a follower of the moon phases, which I think most of us are, a lot of people are interested in space. A lot of people are interested in NASA and what they're doing. So you could have maybe some NASA photographs of the various planets, of the various moon phases that you can just kind of put up in your workspace to kind of help you gain some of that energy as you go through the day. And of course, your religious jewelry. Now, this one, there we go. I'll try to turn it. Sorry, my camera's a little backwards from what I'm used to. Okay, this one has like this man in the moon with the pentacle. And I have been surprised how many people have commented about how pretty it is. I did have one person, it was a pharmacist at a Walgreens, a young man, who said, "Oh, I really like your necklace." And I said, "Oh, well, thank you." And he asked me point blank, "Does it have any real significance?" It's not something that most people understand. I have one little client who's pretty astute, and he says to me very frequently, "You really like the moon, don't you?" And I said, "Well, yes, I do really like the moon." And he says, "Yeah, I know, because it's on your necklace, and you have the star, you have a pretty star there, too." And he goes, "And your ring," I don't know if you can see it, my ring, which has a moonstone in the middle, has the three, it's a triple moon. He said, "I noticed that you have the moon on your ring, too." I said, "Yes, I do." And you know, that's it. He kind of let it go after that. He never brought it back up again. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay, that's cool, that's cool. So that one, that is one way. Through your jewelry. Now, obviously, if you're wearing something that's as outright as this, people may notice and may say something to you. But, you know, here in Texas particularly, we have 5-pointed stars all over the place in Texas. And if you're one of those people that you like, you know, kind of a country theme, you can always get one of those home decorations that's the circle around the star. You see it in a lot of law enforcement kinds of things. So people might just assume that you have an interest in, you know, either the Old West or, you know, law enforcement or something like that. You can do very simple things. Other very simple things that you can do are things as simple as having seashells in your workspace. The seashells, acorns, um, picking up bird feathers. Now, I want to caution you on that because, technically speaking, it's illegal to own the feathers of a migratory bird in the United States. So you cannot go out to your front lawn and pick up the bird feather that fell on your front lawn and legally own it. But really, there's people out there murdering kids, and you're worried about me picking up a mockingbird feather that fell out of the tree in my front yard because I got a nest of the suckers in both of my trees. You know, so I will use feathers to decorate my personal space. I have feathers in my car. I have it's a little decoration that you put on your rear view mirror in your vehicle. And I work primarily out of my car because I do home health. I do have 3 offices. We do see clients at the various offices. A few clients come to each of the offices. But for the most part, we do home health because we live in a rural county. So you've got 30, 40 miles between people out here. So, in some cases. So you've got, you know, I have my little sun medallion, which has the little stars and the moon hanging off the bottom of it. And I have that with my feathers. So, you know, people might go, but they don't really know. Now, when it comes to your workspace, you might keep a broom in your workspace under the auspices that you like to use it to clean out your workspace, sweep the carpet, whatever, and you could really be using it to sweep out negativity, especially if you have a coworker that you just cannot get on with. A lot of people like to use sachet bags for the smell, almost like a potpourri. You could have a potpourri burner or an essential oil burner and burn essential oils in your workspace, provided your employer allows that. If not, you can have a sachet bag there and say, well, I use it for the smell. If anybody questions, most people probably aren't even going to question. You can use various different colors to practice your craft without people knowing. Perhaps you want to have a light in, you know, a different color light bulb in your lamp, you know, various colors, purple or green or whatever, that might reflect the type of energy that you're feeling that particular day or that you're trying to call upon. I have seen a lot of people put geodes and crystals on their desks at work, and you can do that around your house, where it's, you know, people are going to think you're interested in geology. You know, the thing is so many of our interests intertie. You don't have to have anything that's particularly witchy. I happen to have some signs up on my wall. I have my besom hanging here. And my besom is very clearly witchy, but, you know, plus it has a sign above it that says no parking, broom lane, and the other side says witch parking only. So I think that's, I'm afraid it's a little obvious in my case. But again, I work, you know, my work, I own my own business. So, and most of my work is done in the home of the client. So it's not as much of a deal for me. I have a cabinet that looks like just a steel work cabinet that I keep my things in. You may have seen it in some of our other videos. I believe in the video that I did as a fill-in video for a few seasons back, for the first or second season, where we talk about our witchy tools. I think you may see that cabinet, but it's just basically, it's a plain cabinet. So you can keep things. If you have cabinets at work or you have a locker at work, you can put things up in your locker that have significance for you, that are not necessarily things that are going to scream out, I'm a witch. A lot of people get wiggy when you tell them that. If you have a humorous side to you, you might get yourself a mug like this. I'm a witch. What's your excuse? My husband and children gave that to me. One of the things that I like to show is the wonderful Nimbus River gave me this bookmark a while back. It's my totem animal. I like to keep things like this around me all the time. Leaves, acorns. I have little bits of nature. I find gifts that the goddess gives me daily, and I will bring those things into my workspace. And people think that I just happen to like nature. I don't necessarily ever have to discuss my practice with somebody. Now, if you are practicing the craft openly, okay, like full on, you're a witch. You practice the craft, you have your cauldron, you know, or a pot that you use, something like that, and say maybe it's one of those cases where you have a family member who frequents your home who's not supportive of your religious practices. How can you hide your craft in plain sight from people like that, much the same way. Much the same way, if this person knows you, you've probably always, for one thing, if you are a witch, you have probably always been a witch, whether you called yourself that or not. As I go more into this path and I read more and I study more and I talk to other practitioners, I realize that this is who I have always been. It's just that because I was told it was evil, I had to try to suppress what I was doing. So chances are you've probably always liked nature. Chances are you've probably always collected rocks or had an affinity for that kind of thing, which I have. The funny thing is I've always collected geodes. I love geodes. Ever since the first time I ever laid eyes on a geode. We would, when we would take these trips when I was a kid at vacations, you get to pick your own geode. They crack it open for you. I freaking love those. I've always loved rubies and stones and gems and things like that. So it's nothing that is new. So if you are living with someone who does not support your craft, you can do things when they are not home. You can get an essential oil burner and they're going to think that you're just going along the trend of aromatherapy that's very popular right now. And you can even utilize that as an excuse. I'm not above telling someone that you're trying to employ aromatherapy, which you are in a way, without flat out telling them I am casting a spell here and this is aiding me in my spell work. Same thing like with witching in the kitchen. I mean, you can do things that people don't realize. I often do little spells like that. For example, my daughter, this irks my husband because my husband prides himself on being a better cook than I am. However, there are certain things that I make that my children like. For example, my daughter likes it when I make her lunches. I have shared in the Kitchen Witchery video about how I create sigil sandwiches. That's probably why she likes mine better. Because I'm imbuing it with my love and with my visualization and with my protection, and I'm certain that must affect the flavor. So same thing with her hamburgers. I always make sigils on her hamburgers when she eats them. She loves the way I make a hamburger. And when I'm putting the spices into the meat, yes, we do eat meat. So for those of you that are, we live in Texas, beef is a big thing here. We have the utmost respect for our cattle here, I assure you, because they are very important to our livelihood and our lifestyle here. But we do eat meat, just so you know. But when I am seasoning the food, I will speak my intent into that herb as I place it into the food. I'll state why I'm putting it there. So usually when I make her hamburger patties, she likes the way that I do it. And the way that I do it is that I will put rosemary, thyme, black pepper, and garlic salt. Garlic is very well known for its protective properties, as is rosemary. So rosemary is a little bit sweeter, so I'll say garlic for the protection, salt to keep you grounded. Then I'll put on the rosemary and I'll say rosemary for protection. Thyme, that you may always have time to do that which you wish. And as I imbue these things, so mote it be, or as I visualize these things, so mote it be. And so I'll do things like that, black pepper to give you spice to your life. May your life always have fire and passion to it. And I speak those things into it. So there are ways to do your craft. And I don't necessarily have to say it out loud where everybody can hear it. I simply whisper it to the herb as I'm putting it on there, and people don't really know what I'm doing. So there are ways that you can practice your craft in the very open without it having to be you're sky-clad and you're doing a full ritual and what have you. Now, if you have a temporary altar like I do, you can set it up in a place where people don't necessarily know you're going to be practicing. You can lock the door. But if you have people that come into your home often and you think some of these people may not be open to the fact that you are who you are or that you practice what you practice, one, why are you letting them into your home in the first place? Because I surely wouldn't want that kind of negativity in my life. But perhaps it's family and you don't have a choice, right? So, you can have your things out. I'm pretty unapologetic about who I am. I am who I am. But I do have some families, for instance, that I serve that I'm conscious of their religious beliefs. I was serving a Muslim family. When I went into their home, I took my shoes off. It was what was expected, and it was the polite thing to do. After all, I'm coming into their home. I have a family that I serve now that is very, very Catholic, so I make sure that my jewelry is tucked in. Not this one so much, but like my other necklace that I wear. I change this one out. Sometimes I wear this one. Sometimes I have two lovers that are entwined, and I use that one for Beltane. I have my pentacle. I also have a new moon charm that I wear. It's actually a crescent moon, but they call it the new moon charm. And, you know, I will tuck that in. I'll make sure that if I'm wearing these earrings, I take them out. Not that I'm ashamed of who I am, but I am a business owner and I am coming into another client's home, and it's very obvious to me that their religion is very important to them. So, out of respect, but I don't ever take my ring off. I couldn't if I tried, to be frank with you. My little fat fingers swell. So, um, you know, I just may keep that to myself. And so there are several ways that you can utilize your craft, practice your craft in the open without it being anything that's open specifically. You can hide it in plain sight very easily. If you have an interest in, for example, the ravens and the crows, things like that, you know, people come in and they see my skulls, they see my little witchy hat that my daughter made for me. This is Caroline. um, you know, they see my bottles and they just think that I'm interested in Halloween. And I just let them think that. I don't ever, you know, don't think that just because you have witchy things out, people are going to know right away what it's all about. People are not that bright. I hate to say that, but it's true. People are not that bright. It's not always their first assumption, oh, you must be a witch because you've got acorns and nature and ravens and skulls all around you. They just kind of get to know you, and they know who, you know, and they figure it out on their own over time. But by that point, they've already gotten to where they kind of like you or know you, and realize that it's probably not what they thought. So there are many, many, many ways. You can put sachets, you can put pentacles underneath, you can draw it with your finger in the air, you can do whatever it takes when someone's not looking to do what you need to do to practice your craft in open sight. So there are so many various ways. I'm sure that this topic's been covered to the death's end by the time you get to my videos, so I won't carry on any further, but I do hope that I've given you a few insights to some things that you can do to practice your craft in the open without people really knowing what you're doing. Not that there's anything to be ashamed of. So, again, thank you so much for watching. This season is drawing to a close. We will be drawing for the giveaway soon. I hope that you all enjoyed this season. Again, as always, we always look forward to your topic suggestions. We do take those into consideration when we make our decisions regarding videos for the upcoming season, and we look forward to seeing you through season 6 of Witches of the Moon. Thank you so much again for watching, for being a part of our channel. Blessed be.